coming up next right here on ESPN. It is a heck of a game. 18th ranked Tennessee at Kansas. Jayhawks 31 in a row at home, Coach.
You know what? I think it's really going to be interesting today, the way frantic defense that Tennessee has. If they can get Kansas out of their comfort zone, the way they trap and run and press, and hopefully that'll help Tennessee score the ball as well.
You know, and in games of big magnitude, at times Sharon Collins has struggled with when do I try and score, when do I want to lead this team, and playing without Mario Little, who they think can be their top wing scorer. I'll be interested to see how much Sharon Collins forces his offense, because frankly, without Little, they don't have enough bullets in the gun from the perimeter.
Now, we saw a defensive game, a little bit low scoring in the first one. This game is going to be high flying. They're going to rock and roll and run. Let's head out to Lawrence, Kansas. We're back at the half. Enjoy the first half.
Bruce Pearl's high-scoring Tennessee Volunteers put their top 20 national ranking on the line against Bill Self and the Kansas Jayhawks. They've won 31 consecutive games in venerable Allen Fieldhouse. It's an SEC Big 12 tussle. Coming up next. One of the jewels of college basketball, Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence, Kansas. It's 18th ranked Tennessee at 9-2, and the defending national champs, the Kansas Jayhawks, at 9-3, and they have targeted the Volunteers for their first big win of the season. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Lawrence, Kansas. Dave O'Brien alongside Jay Bill. It's a pleasure to be with you. What a great atmosphere here, Jay. It always is. Now, for Tennessee, a real scare right before New Year's when their #2 scorer, Wayne Chisholm, went down a frightening fall in a victory. He's back, but that was really scary.
That was scary. Carried off on a stretcher, but Wayne Chisholm is okay. He is ready to play. He practiced yesterday and looked fine, but this was a frightening scene against Louisiana.
The game delayed several minutes as Chisholm was strapped to a board and placed in a neck brace and taken out of a hushed arena on a stretcher. Good to go here for this afternoon. This is earlier today, just getting stretched out. Believe me, he's up and he's moving around and he's fine. He's completely healthy up against Kansas and the big man, Cole Aldrich.
Cole Aldrich is having a terrific year. When he gets the ball inside, he's a very good finisher, shoots over 60% from the field, knocks his free throws down. He blocks shots, he rebounds, the second leading rebounder in the conference. The key for Cole Aldrich today is can he stay on the floor and stay out of foul trouble. He's got to play big and productive minutes for Kansas to win against Tennessee.
Let's get you to Star Wars now. Today's top 2 scorers, Tyler Smith and Sharon Collins.
Tyler Smith, one of the toughest matchups in the country. He can bully a smaller defender. He can really go by a bigger one, and Sharon Collins has to have a big game. He should take about 17, 18 shots if he's knocking them down. If he scores over 20, Kansas can have a great chance to win.
To the starting lineups now for Tennessee. Smith and Chisholm combined for close to 30 points and 14 rebounds. Bobby Mays runs the point. Scotty Hobson and Ronaldo Woolridge, very, very talented freshman. Josh Tabb in there as a junior today. Kansas, a Morningstar, a terrific shooter. Tashawn Taylor is one of 2 freshman starters. Markieff Morris at 6'9". The other, his twin brother Marcus, is 6'8". Aldrich has an outstanding shooting touch for a man 6'11". They are raring to go. The building sold out for the 121st consecutive time. Kansas has played basketball since 1898. Tennessee for 100 years. This is the first time they have ever met in a men's basketball game.
And a difficult environment to play and to win. So Tennessee is going to have to be prepared for the opening tap. And Kansas has to keep Tennessee off the glass. One of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country.
Kansas in the home whites, set for the opening tip, and everybody up inside Fog Allen Fieldhouse, and Tennessee controls the tip. Hobson dribbles it right off his foot and out of play. So right back to Kansas. They've won 31 in a row here in the building, dating back to the end of the 2007 season.
Full court pressure right off the bat for Tennessee. They're going to try to slow the advance, but I'm not sure they want to speed this team up too much and give them too many easy opportunities.
Taylor outside the 3. Morningstar thought about shooting his first 3-pointer of the day. Very dangerous out there. They free up the big man Morris inside, and a thunderous start for Kansas.
If Kansas Kansas moves the ball from side to side. When they get ball reversal, they are very dangerous, especially looking down in the post for duck-ins, for lobs. Tennessee's got to keep them to one side of the floor.
Tab with the miss. Taylor wants to push the tempo right up top. Aldridge. That's a very good shot for him, but he can't get that one to go.
It's an odd-looking release. He has it directly behind his head, but Cole Aldridge is an outstanding shooter.
Tennessee with a solid victory over Georgetown, another over Marquette. Two teams in the top 25. The losses to then number 9 Gonzaga, who they face again January 7th, and a 16-point loss to Temple in mid-December. And then Temple came in here and they did not play very well at all against Kansas. Here's Chisholm. Nice on the baseline and a foul. And down goes Smith. He'll be going to the line. Tyler Smith, where he hit 75%. But back to Collins, you know you really like as a passer.
He is a passer. There's got to be more pressure on the ball from Bobby Mays so that Collins cannot see into the post that easily. He didn't have to pivot, didn't have to turn his back. And a terrific finish by Markieff Morris. Morris has a very difficult assignment. He's having to guard Tyler Smith, and I think Smith can go around him if he can get the ball in the middle of the floor and be a playmaker. But really what's vital, I think, for Kansas, their first shot defense is very good. If they allow second shots like they did on this possession, it's going to be a long day for Kansas.
Smith missed them both. Man who thought about heading off to the NBA at the end of last season came back for his junior campaign. Tough shot by Taylor, but a great follow by Aldridge, the 6'11 sophomore, shotting on the spot.
Kansas really attacking in transition. And anytime you go for a shot block opportunity, that leaves the offensive glass open.
Smith had that one kicked off of Morris into the backcourt. Chisholm will swing to the point guard Mays. The 6'2 junior on the drive, the pull-up pop, and left it well short.
What terrific defense by Collins. Now he's 1-on-4.
And look at the motor. No foul as he lays it in. Tab hit the deck looking for the flop foul. No whistle.
That is like trying to stop a bowling ball coming down the lane.
Little shove there by Morris. Trying to put the stop on Tyler Smith, who's a very difficult matchup.
Whenever a shot blocker goes after a shot, which Chisholm does here, it wasn't Chisholm, excuse me, it was Smith, that leaves the board wide open. Nobody boxed out, and 1-on-4, even though he was even with 3 of those defenders. That's a big-time play by Sherron Collins. A little 2-3 zone now for Kansas out of the out-of-bounds situation.
And Mays all net on the three-pointer. The point guard, one of 8 balls, who averaged 7 or more points per game. And as a team, they're hitting for 84, one of the top scoring teams in the country. And finally on the board. Look at the move by Collins all the way through.
A nice screen by Marcus Morris. Little back pick, but nobody from Tennessee. They just stood and watched the layup. Nobody came over from the weak side.
Smith spins to his right and lays that one in. Nice move by Tyler Smith. Earlier this season, put up the first triple-double in Tennessee history. Morningstar left that errant pass into the lane, but Morris will clean it up. Got a little bit fortunate there.
Well, he went after the ball, and loose balls, long rebounds are going to be a big factor in this game, and that's what Bill Self wants to see out of his team, the toughness to get what he calls a 50-50 ball, a loose ball.
Kansas with 9 wins, but they really haven't beaten anybody yet. Hobson went up in a second block. This one by Aldridge, the #1 shot blocker in the Big 12 coming into today.
Well, Brady Morningstar does not look like a great defender, but he's a really good one. Great back cut. Bruce Pearl needs a timeout.
And he's going to take one right here. A hot start for Kansas, and the fans are loving it.
Sherron Collins getting off to the kind of start they need from him. A little hesitation move, the pick, and nobody comes over to help. Every orange shirt just watches him lay it in.
Now Bill Self has to be loving this play as Aldridge, with the great eyes, looks inside.
Look right here. He's going to get, J.P. Prince going to get above his man, and as he comes off, Tyshawn Taylor just going to go back door. No pressure on the ball at all. J.P. Prince just very lazily thought that Taylor was going to come off of that little handoff situation, a little dribble weave, and he just anticipated what was going to happen. A great read by Tyshawn Taylor.
A scintillating start for the Jayhawks, making their last 5 and carving up Tennessee. A 12-5 lead for Kansas. The Jayhawks at 9-3, a very young team, lost all 5 starters from the national championship squad of last season. Williams bouncing on the baseline. There's Prince with the layup. That won't fall. Tatum out battling everybody for the rebound. And a new shot clock here for the Volunteers. On the alley-oop, Prince off his fingertips.
Well, nice job by Morris to read that play.
Taylor trying to use the screen there by Morris. Aldridge on the high post. Here's Morningstar. Tatum really sticking to him. Forced him to lose that dribble. Shot clock is at 15 now for Kansas.
A little high screen for Collins so he can work off it.
And instead an offensive foul. Now it'll go against Morris.
That was a tough call because the screen was refused. I'm not sure anybody even got to the screen.
Bill Self in his 6th season at Kansas, national champions last year, and signed a 10-year contract over the summer to stay here in Lawrence and build another one. Prince swooping in with the left hand, high off the window. Beautiful looking shot for J.P. Prince. He did not play in their victory a couple of days ago, but Prince is a guy who's had a lot of injury problems. As Morris drives in. Oh, Aldridge will finish it up as he slams it down.
Kansas does such a nice job of driving the ball and then looking to lob it when they do drive, because the bigs are very good at coming off of ball screens and shaping up and going to the rim.
Well, Tab with an ugly looking shot, didn't touch anything. And the crowd is serenading him and the Volunteers big time as Kansas is out front by 7. Brian, thank you very much. How often do you see this now? Here we are with 15:28 to play in the first half at Allen Fieldhouse. And Jay, already every single point Kansas has scored has been in the paint.
Well, and Tennessee's got to play better defense. You're going to see the ball screen offense right now by Kansas. Cole Aldridge comes and sets a ball screen. Morningstar is going to come off of it, and you're going to see Cole Aldridge roll to the basket. Watch this defender here, because when the ball goes to Markieff Morris, he's going to have to make a choice. The ball goes there. He's going to drive, and Brian Williams has to come up. When he does, it is lob and easy dunk. That was beautifully executed by Kansas.
So points in the paint, Kansas 14, Tennessee 2.
Now that's really good execution by Kansas, but it's bad defense by Tennessee. Tennessee's got to show more toughness, more communication to win on the road.
Here's Collins. The tab right in his face. Morningstar on the other side of the floor now. Aldridge very capable of hitting that shot up top. Oh, taken right away by Tatum. And Taylor cannot defend him as he lays it up and in.
Just a lazy pass by Cole Aldridge. Kansas has been able to move the ball from side to side very effectively. And when they get it to the second side or the third side, there's the ball screen and slip. They're getting a lot of good things.
Marcus Morris right down the lane and bumps. He'll go to the line with 14:40 to go in the half. But back to the Tatum theft, the freshman out of Lithonia, Georgia.
Now, they haven't been contesting many passes, and Tatum just shoots the gap and shoots right in front of Tyshawn Taylor.
At the line, shooting 2.
Williams with the foul. And Mario Little now checking in for Kansas. He's coming back from a broken left hand, suffered in practice in mid-December. Jay, he was already recuperating from a stress fracture in his leg, and the debate has been whether or not to redshirt Little.
Well, they've got another week or 10 days to make that decision. But Mario Little can be a big part of the success of Kansas this series. Had that stress fracture, but he's very good in transition. He's a slashing player with a good mid-range game. He can add a different dimension to this team and provide a veteran player.
And a scorer as well. And the crowd salutes his return to the floor here. Relaford also on the court now for Bill Self. Tennessee with the basketball and trying to cut into this lead. Swooping in Prince, blocked from behind by Aldridge. He already has 2 in the early minutes. And he has the ability, Jay, to keep it in play as well. Collins at 3. A lot of iron, and it's going to roll in for him.
The first points that Kansas has scored outside of the lane or the free throw lane in this game.
Certainly had the touch. There's Tatum outside. Chisholm has really been a non-factor to this point. Williams backing into the paint around Aldridge. Not there for him. Rebound into the corner for Little. But Collins just wants to get it and go. Aldridge is open. He says, why not? Two-pointer.
If they're not going to come out, you might as well shoot it, and Cole Aldridge can make that.
Look at the two stops by the Jayhawks on the other end. Collins alley-oop, Taylor! They are flying high at Allen Fieldhouse. 22-9. Tennessee is dizzy.
They do look shell-shocked, don't they? Somebody's got to show some leadership, and somebody's got to show some fight, because this isn't the Tennessee team that has won a couple of SEC titles.
That one off Wayne Chisholm. Aldridge deflected it. He's everywhere defensively. Offensively and defensively. Back to his jumper.
The nice push up court by Sharon Collins set up the trailer Cole Aldridge, but nobody came to guard him. And nobody faking. Wayne Chisholm needs to fake it. Sharon Collins make a stand in the lane. So far, Tennessee has not made a stand in the blue. The blue has been owned by Kansas.
Prince harassing Little in the backcourt. Prince went down. He went down hard. He's screaming for a foul as he gets back on the defensive side. Collins, so tricky with the dribble. Off Little's hand. But it rolls to Morris. Hey, everything's breaking right for Kansas. Here's Collins. Short-rimmed it. They'll get a new shot clock.
Kansas calling out a set. Going to be a high screen.
The Jayhawks have made 9 consecutive shots. Even the big crowd at Allen Fieldhouse is looking for a breather. Little up top, wide open Morningstar. All net.
Dave, it's just been open shot after open shot. Everything that Tennessee has gotten has been contested, but everything that Kansas has gotten has been wide open.
Tatum too strong with a 3. Morris looking up ahead for Little. He's getting quickly involved here. They'll shoot the 15-footer.
Look how easy that was. Wide open.
Whistle and a foul with 12-11 to go in the half. Moments ago, a little bit of an elbow here.
You know, this is kind of interesting to me, Dave, that you know, when guys are reaching in there, there's a fine line between somebody getting hurt and protecting the ball. Now, I don't think that Mario Little did anything wrong there. And as a big guy, when I play, there are a lot of little guys that reach in after you grabbed a rebound or got control of the ball, and they never seem to call fouls on him. And my thing used to be, you know what, you can taste my elbow if you want to, but I'm not letting you take this ball, and I'll waste the foul.
Taylor inside with the drive. That one won't go. One of the rare shots that will not fall in the paint for Kansas. And he has a frustration foul there with 12:04 left in half number 1. Monday night on ESPN, catch a clash of talented big men. And Big East rivalry reignited as Georgetown takes on Luke Harangody and Notre Dame. College basketball on ESPN Monday at 7 Eastern. The Big East is going to just be that kind of league, Jay, where you might have a great win on a Monday, but a couple of nights later you're going to have your head handed to you. Here's Woolridge straight on. That one missed badly.
They're just taking bad shots. Everything has been contested. It's been 1 and out. There's been 1 offensive rebound that I can recall for Tennessee, and that's been about it. That's been their offense.
Pitt really handed it to Georgetown earlier today. Georgetown coming off the high of the victory over UConn. Bounced into the paint, Relaford swatted from behind by Tatum. He got a clean block. Now he scoops it up in midcourt. Nice fake there. Back over to Chisholm. He kicks it out of bounds, although the crowd wanted to travel before that. Bruce Pearl got all dressed up today for this. So far, no fun for him. 25-9 Kansas. And back in Lawrence, Kansas, a 16-point lead for the Jayhawks as they are laying it on the number 18 Tennessee Volunteers early on. On that Wednesday, Mario Chalmers, of course, was the hero for Kansas in the national championship game. 34th overall pick by the Minnesota Timberwolves, playing about 32 minutes a game, averaging 10 points and 5 assists per contest.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Dave, reasonable minds can differ on players and their value in the NBA draft, but I was stunned that Mario Chalmers wasn't a first-round pick. I mean, I had him in the 20s rated on my board. I thought he would be a terrific NBA player. A great player, maybe not, but a guy that could really contribute because he can guard multiple spots. He can play the point. He's athletic, and he knows how to play in transition.
He looks headed for the NBA All-Rookie team as well. Hit that huge shot with about 2 seconds left. the national championship game against Memphis to send it into overtime. Kansas 11 out of 17, 65%.
His zone here.
A whistle and a foul here with 10:59 left.
This is a little 3-2 zone that Bruce Pearl essentially put in before the Marquette game. The day before the Marquette game, he came up with this defense and put it in. They used it against Marquette to try to keep them out of the lane. And so far, Kansas has been living in the lane.
Tyler Smith with his first foul for Tennessee. Over the top to Aldridge. Banging against Woolridge there and lost it. Shoveled ahead for Smith. Wants to take it all the way through and lays it in. Tyler Smith at 6'7", sometimes can play a lot taller than that.
Well, Dave, that's the first time that Tennessee has made something really difficult for Kansas in this game. Thus far, until that play, everything Kansas has done on the offensive end has been easy. They've been making easy catches. They've been moving the ball side to side easily. They've been getting it inside easily.
Kansas has had the propensity of getting pretty good leads and then giving them away with this young team. Morris from the corner. That didn't touch a thing. Right into the hands of Chisholm.
A challenge shot. One of the first challenge shots that Kansas has been forced to take in this game.
Smith, a very difficult matchup for anybody. Right into Aldridge, who denies him. Possession arrow will take it the opposite direction here.
Cole Aldridge, Dave, has done a really nice job of staying on the floor, waiting till the shooter leaves the floor in order for him to leave the floor. That's one of the great ways to avoid picking up fouls. Keeping your hands up, doing the work with your body. And if Cole Aldridge stays in the game, Kansas is that much better.
From the corner, Reed. Collins went for the rebound. That one tipped out of bounds by Tennessee. Under 10 minutes to go before halftime, but Smith showing some effort. A little bit of that, especially on the defensive end, Jay, as you pointed out, was not there in the first 7 or 8 minutes.
You know, that wasn't a bad shot by Kansas. It's a shot that can be made. Terrell Reed is a good shooter, but they still need to move the ball from side to side against this zone.
Oh, big tumble there and a foul. There'll be a charge. 9:52 to go before the halftime break.
Anytime you take the ball into the middle, you have got to be smart with it. You cannot leave your feet to pass. You've got to use that free throw line in the lane essentially as a stop sign. Stop, make a play.
2 on Marcus Morris, who has 3 points. The officiating crew today, Mark Whitehead, Rick Hartzell, and James Breeding. And the crowd not delighted with that call, but Tennessee with the basketball here, again trying to dig into the lead, 25-11.
Tennessee can score points in bunches. And the big key for them remains offensive rebounding. They need second shot opportunities.
Chisholm daring to work on Aldridge. Beautifully done off the window. Up and over the 6'11" big man.
Chisholm looks serious. He's taken off that headband.
His first 2 points. He does have a more determined look here. And Tennessee quickly starting to play much better on both ends.
And the zone is causing Kansas to stand around a bit.
Aldridge spins the other way. That one denied by Chisholm. He blocked the shot. Tennessee comes away. Mays up ahead calling for it. That pass intended for him and tossed out of play by the Volunteers.
Well, Scotty Hobson thought that Bobby Mays was going to continue on, but he just stopped on the wing. A little out of sync for Tennessee in transition.
Hobson, a freshman out of Hopkinsville, Kentucky. He was rated the #5 high school senior in America last year, McDonald's All-American. In fact, the very first McDonald's All-American Bruce Pearl has brought to Tennessee.
And the first Tennessee's had since Vincent Yarborough was brought in by Jerry Green. Kansas looking a little stagnant against this zone. You need to get the ball, move it from side to side, and get the ball into the middle of the zone.
But Prince picks it on the theft. He'll try it himself high up off the glass, but he draws the foul and will be shooting 2. Taylor with the personal to send him to the stripe here. 8:48 to go in the first half. Number 2 on Taylor. Kansas has won 31 consecutive games here at Allen Fieldhouse. That's one of the top home winning streaks in the country, taking on number 18 Tennessee. Dave O'Brien, Jay Billis with you in front of a packed house. Another another sellout as Prince drops in the first one.
Yeah, one of the problems with this 31-game win streak at home for Kansas is, it's not really a problem, but most of the guys on the floor didn't do that. You know, Sharon Collins was a huge part of all those 31 wins, but everybody else, I mean, they were spectators for those.
Again, losing all 5 seniors from the team that went 37-3. All 5 starters from the team that went 37-3 last year.
That middle wide open. Somebody's got to get into it. Move it from side to side, flash into the middle, screen the zone.
Little will let it fly. Around and out. He's trying to get involved in the offense. Coming back from that busted hand. Mays will pull up. Big battle for the rebound comes to Collins. Oh, look at that move right by Mays. Then around the back, lofts it up, can't get it to go. And that's the shame of it. That was a spectacular drive by Sharon Collins. And now the tie-up with 8:12 to go in the half. But take a look at Sharon Collins on the move in the open floor.
Sharon Collins gets so low, and he is so strong. A little inside-out dribble behind the back, and J.P. Prince trying to draw that charge. But again, everybody from Tennessee just kind of watching the ball, not really chasing after it. This team is too long and too athletic not to chase after that ball with everything they've got.
Emmanuel Negatu into the ball game for Tennessee. He committed that last foul. Here's Prince trying to get to it with Aldridge. Mays scoops it and lays it in.
Well, Tennessee's too athletic for you to just loft the ball up long like that. There's just no way you're going to be able to complete that pass time and time again without being a lot stronger and locking them down.
Bill Self biting off his words in there. Well, tomorrow night, ESPN delivers the 2nd annual Under Armour All-American High School Football game from Disney's Wide World of Sports complex. 80 players from across the nation will take part in the All-Star Football competition, spotlighting the nation's top high school seniors. The Under Armour All-American High School Football game presented by ESPN tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern Time.
Kansas up 9 right now, but they've got some game pressure on them. You can feel a momentum shift in large measure because of that 3-2 or 1-2-2, the odd man front zone that Bruce Pearl threw on to the young Jayhawks, and it's forced them to stand around. It's forced them to take some quick and some bad and some challenge shots, and all of a sudden things are looking a lot brighter for this bright orange out on the floor of Allen Fieldhouse.
Well, it was 25-9, so a 7-0 run here for Tennessee after trailing by 16 points. Collins to walk it up. 8 minutes to go in the opening half. He's coming over to trap. And nearly forcing a turnover again. Nice job by Morningstar at the seat of his pants. Collins with a 3. Yes.
Well, what a big play by Brady Morningstar. You know, those are the kind of plays that win you ball games. Getting on the floor, getting control of that loose ball. And he should have gotten an assist on that.
Mays with the miss in close. Smith has it. And a great look, couldn't cash it in. Mays has it stripped by Collins, who's having a marvelous first half. Trying to do it all by himself, and he does. They really can't stop him. Prince swoops in with the left hand. And a foul on the rebounding fray with 7:15 to go.
Sharon Collins is doing his best Taiwan Lawson imitation in this game. I thought Lawson was the first person, and then Sharon Collins making me rethink that a little bit.
Brian Bird checking out the ESPN family of networks. Football bowl action, International Bowl on ESPN2. UConn by 4 over Buffalo in the 3rd. On ESPNU, a good one at the Garden. St. John's by 1 over 10th-ranked Notre Dame. And, of course, we're watching Kansas right now taking care of Tennessee, looking to make it 32 straight at home in Lawrence. Back to Dave and Jay, guys.
All right, Ryan, thank you very much. Always a treat to be inside Allen Fieldhouse. Well, there's the point guard for Tennessee, the junior, Bobby Mays. What do you think he takes after just a little bit? Right down to his nickname.
Allen Iverson. How about that? The answer and the solution. Now, Bobby Mays is listed as being taller than Allen Iverson, but I would submit that Iverson would tower over Mays where he's standing on his wallet.
Mays, by the way, at 6'2", began the season with 11 assists against Chattanooga, had 9 against Georgetown. He's very much a pass-first kind of point guard. Negatu here at the line. man from Nigeria connects. And now we'll step out. Chisholm back on the floor for Bruce Pearl after that awful fall he took against Louisiana right before New Year's. But he is fine. Elbow and back contusions, but he's okay.
Trying to get a little chippy out on the floor right now. Guys pushing off and holding. Referees need to keep a firm hold on it. They've done a good job so far.
Kansas started the season in the top 25, barely number 24. Out of the pole right now. Aldrich inside. That one defended from behind by Chisholm.
Chisholm doing a nice job of staying between Aldrich and the basket, making him go through him.
Smith in close. Likes to work in there, and that's going to roll off. Rebound comes to Chisholm. He'll bank it in. A little lucky for the Volunteers.
Well, that's the 8th offensive rebound that Tennessee's had in this ball game, and the first points that they have scored off the offensive glass. Now, after one possession of man-to-man, back in this little 3-2 zone, and that middle is wide open.
Collins off the Aldridge screen, trying to create. Morningstar for a 3. Rattles in. He's got great touch out there.
Just a little ball screen up on the top. It allowed Sharon Collins to turn the corner, and the wide open shot.
Chisholm gets one too, but that one clangs away.
He loves that trail jumper. Sure, it's not a shot. He can hit it, but it's not a high percentage shot.
Boy, speaking of trails, that man has been a vapor trail the entire first half. 14 points for Sharon Collins. It has been his personal highlight reel. Here's Collins again. Knocked from behind by Mays. And Kansas will have it.
Well, Sharon Collins just bounces off people. He's like a pinball in there in a pinball machine. Just nice little head and shoulder fake. Goes right into Wayne Chisholm to try to draw the contact, but he's strong enough to finish that play. Collins is a great athlete, and he's the best pure basketball player on this squad. He's a really good high school football player. He's a pitcher in baseball. He's one of those guys that can do absolutely everything.
He was the Jayhawk who got the assist on the now legendary Mario Chalmers three-pointer with 2 seconds left in the national championship game against Memphis that forced it overtime. Taylor creating in close.
Somebody grabbed the net on that, and that's what caused that ball to come out.
Nobody saw that, however, among the crew. Back out, nice catch by Taylor. Tyler Smith, I should say, as he lays it in. Tyler Smith with a nifty-looking bucket. He has 6.
Tennessee's been pretty good in transition, but they've been a little careless with the ball. First 10 minutes of this half, they pitched it away several times when they've been in transition.
Collins with the ball handling. Knocked away from him, but then it's right into Relaford, and Morris will be fouled on his way up to the basket. Or is that an offensive foul?
It is. He threw that left arm into the Tennessee defender and picked up the foul.
18.
It's going to be his 3rd.
A little bit too much dribbling by Collins, but after this shot by Travis Relaford is off, you can see that just a shove with that off arm sent Tyler Smith to the ground.
So Smith will go to the line. 3 on Marquise Morris, so he's going to have to step out. And Aldrich will come back on for Bill Self. Smith, a 75% foul shooter.
At the line, shooting a 1
Tennessee's only got 14 fouls, but I would argue one of the reasons they only have 4 is they haven't gotten close enough to anybody to foul them on the defensive end. They haven't really played much defense up until Bruce Pearl went into that zone.
13-point lead for Kansas. They get off to an absolutely blistering start here in the first half in Lawrence. It's going to be a foul against Kansas.
That's just a dumb foul by Quintrell Thomas. You know, all you have to do is man didn't follow him up.
And the same thing happened with Kansas against Temple. He just leaned into it too much, and Bill Self's upset, but that was a foul.
It's a foul.
And it's going to cost him a technical. And he is still hopping mad and red-faced.
He might get tossed out of here if he's not careful. Rick Hartzell is doing a good job of staying over there, but he's right in the referee's face there. He must be angry over something else, because that foul by Quintrell Thomas was a foul.
So technical on the Kansas coach. Here's a look at the foul.
Watch, he comes in. He leans that shoulder in. I mean, that's a clear foul.
the Kansas folks say about Self, and it's been said at every stop, he has the ability to let the last play go very quickly, like it never even happened. We'll see if that proves to be true here as Smith rolls that one in.
Well, listen, Bill Self's no dummy. He knows how to coach and motivate a team and get a building back into it. He knows how to work referees. Now, I don't think it always works, but this is not something where he's just flying off the handle. He knows what's going on.
Have you ever seen him this angry?
Oh yeah, I've seen him this mad before. I mean, if you saw him late in the Massachusetts game, there have been some other games he's done it in the past. This isn't the first time he's ever got a little red in the face. He matches his tie, though, which is a nice thing.
Lead at 11 crowd really jumping into it. Smith on the drive will stuff it down. A strong move by Tyler Smith. He has 10.
That's just a young defense. Nobody stepped in front. You can't allow somebody to drive all the way from the sideline. And that was an angled drive. It wasn't like that was a straight line drive. And Tyler Smith's able to get all the way to the rim.
We apologize for some audio difficulties as Chisholm swats that one off the backboard. A clean block. Tatum will give it up. Smith will two into the corner. Prince will swing it. They find an open man. The three is going to be in and out. Tatum can't find the mark.
Tyshawn Taylor having to take over the point guard role as a freshman.
Collins is getting ready to come back in, though, for Self. Under 4 minutes to go before halftime. It has been spirited.
Kansas needs to throw some pass fakes because Tennessee will jump out into that lane.
Aldridge is held. He's fouled from behind. And we have a timeout with 3:38 to go in the opening half. Bill Self just a little bit hot here on the home court in Lawrence, Kansas. Tennessee has closed the gap. Tennessee trying to make a comeback here. Kansas is the team with a 9-point lead. Jay, you could not tell that by Coach Bill Self in the last couple of minutes.
Well, one of the things I've always thought about coaches is the ones who really get it, that understand their teams. When things are the most crazy out on the floor, that's when the coach is the most calm. And when things are too calm, that's when they get a little crazy. And Bill Self got a little crazy there, trying to get his team a little bit more aggressive and trying to get everybody to play like Sharon Collins has played in this first half.
Prince with the foul. That might be a direct result, too, of what he's doing and what he's telling the officials, because there's certainly a foul disparity there in Tennessee's favor. That was a very quick, touchy foul.
Yeah, but the foul disparity, I would argue, is because in the first 10 minutes of this game, Tennessee didn't go near anybody. I mean, their defense was so bad in the first 10 minutes, they didn't get close enough to anybody to foul.
And with the ball here, Collins really shredded them time after time as they were standing still. Tyshawn Taylor, very gifted freshman. Nice bounce in for Aldridge and the foul.
Oh, what a beautiful feed. And that's what I'm talking about, Dave, about going side to side. Off that ball screen, Cole Aldridge is able to duck in and get into his defensive man. As the ball moves from side to side, Taylor, a little hesitation, and Brian Williams just gets sealed off, and Cole Aldridge able to finish that play. That was a terrific post feed by the freshman Tyshawn Taylor.
Really fine passer, averaging about 4 assists per game, putting Aldridge to the line. Williams with his second foul. I don't think you teach that Aldridge shooting style to an up-and-coming big man. He's 6'11", but it works for him.
Yeah, you know why you don't mess with it? Because he makes 83% of his foul shots, and he's a very good shooter. You know, if you've got an unconventional stroke, if you're missing it, mess with it. But it's kind of like Jamal Wilkes. You know, you wouldn't teach it that way, but it went in.
Prince with the kick out. Here's Tatum. Not there again. He's cold outside that three-point line. A break for Tennessee. Tatum can't follow in close this time.
Got numbers.
Reed looking up ahead. Here's Little on the wing. Under 3 minutes to go before we break at halftime.
Tennessee going back to man. They're going to look to trap if they can on the sidelines, and they've got to do a better job of their ball screen defense because Kansas is just blasting off those ball screens.
Collins hands off for Aldridge for the stuff. Sharon Collins has had himself a half.
Nobody can stay in front of him. I mean, he has been the dominant performer in this game. and looking like a first-team All-American with the way he's played in the first 20 minutes.
He sure has. Smith gives it up. Tatum hit the deck after another errant three. It's just not going down for him.
Now, Tatum hit the deck, but nobody even touched him. He just faked it.
Reed off target. It comes to Collins, of course. He can't get the bunny, however.
And Mario Little kept that ball alive.
Prince will fire. Boy, that one clanged off the side of that backboard. Ugly looking shot.
This is just not a very good three-point shooting team. They're making about 3 threes less this year than they did last year. Obviously, you lose a shooter the caliber of Chris Lofton. That's going to affect things. But
Collins shoots it into the corner, and that one tipped by Tennessee.
Checking in for Tennessee, number 32, Scotty.
Ron Collins has been so hard to stay in front of. And anytime you have to help up, as J.P. Prince did there, you're going to be giving up an easy basket. And Wayne Chisholm needs to come over there and draw a charge. He was not down in the stance. He was not looking to get over there and impact the play.
Morningstar has to ask for timeout. Otherwise, he would have turned it over. 40-26 Kansas. A Wednesday night, ESPN is delivering a special evening of hoops. First at 7 Eastern, Davidson looks to slay the powerhouse Duke. NBA talent Mike Tirico, Jeff Van Gundy, and Mark Jackson will call the college basketball game. And then at 9 Eastern, your NBA destination takes you to Denver. Dick Vitale and Dan Schulman will call the NBA game between the Heat and the Nuggets.
That should be fun, but look at that graphic. A lot of follically challenged announcers there. It looks like a pool table.
Not a whole lot of hair in that promo.
I thought it was great at the Hall of Fame that, you know, not only is Dick inducted, but Bill Davison, the man who fired him, who hired him and fired him, is inducted at the same time. It was really an interesting scene.
There's symmetry to that. Kansas with the basketball here, shooting 50%. In what has been a very well-played first half so far for the Jayhawks. Shot clock down to 5. Collins wants to shoot it. Slammed back at him by Tab. Nice stop there. Thompson with the kick on the baseline to Prince. Tried to finish, could not. Not going down as easily for the Volunteers, but they'll get a second effort here.
Well, they should have made that shot, but Brady Morningstar right there in front. Terrell Reed just about took a charge. They are keeping their bodies in front of the Tennessee Volunteers.
Kansas without a marquee win on the season. This would certainly qualify. Long bomb by Hobson. Yeah, he's fouled in the act of shooting a three by Little, who got him with the body.
Just an overzealous foul by Mario Little in his first game back. A little bit of zone being run by Kansas here, and got to cover a lot of ground and running out at the shooter, but you got to fly by the shooter. If you're going to run at the shooter, you have to fly by him, not right into it.
So Scotty Hobson, a freshman, to the stripe, where he's at 77%. McDonald's and Parade All-American out of Kentucky, who originally committed to Mississippi State and then changed his mind.
He's a big-time athlete, but he has been primarily a jump shooter early in this freshman campaign of his, and he needs to start putting the ball on the deck and getting to the rim more, because this is what, 14, 15, and 16 free throws for him on the season. He's hardly gotten to the line at all, and he's too good of an athlete not to be shooting more free throws.
He's an outstanding shooter's touch. Under a minute to play before halftime. Kansas got off to a wonderful start. And even though Bill Self has been angry at times and he's been teed up by the officiating crew, he has to be very pleased with the bulk of this first half for Kansas.
Kansas can go 2 for 1 here if they want to. They're starting to let it get away from them a little bit.
Little will fire it up there. Reed goes in hard for the rebound, trying to keep it alive, and did a great job. Aldridge got away with that, but he also gets tied up. And the possession error will be Tennessee's with 27 seconds left.
Well, Tennessee got the benefit of that, but that's one thing that, you know, this is a really good officiating crew, but the referees miss guys changing their pivot feet so often. And Cole Aldridge picked the pivot foot, and then he changed it.
Tennessee shooting just 28% in the first half. Nobody has made 50% against Kansas this year. And they have held 122 of the last 125 opponents below 50%.
2-3 zone right now for Kansas.
Tennessee playing for one shot here.
Just got to make sure they don't get a second one if they miss the first one.
Down to 9. Hobson dribbles in close. The leaner. That goes with 5 seconds left. Pressure here for the Volunteers, and they nearly steal it away, and the buzzer will sound, and it winds up a 9-point lead at the break. Sharon Collins certainly put on a show, didn't he? A spectacular dribbling display. He was the motor for the Jayhawks with 14 points and 5 assists. So at halftime, it's Kansas by 9 as we join Ryan Bird, Doug Gottlieb, and Tom Brennan for the UPS halftime report. Set for the second half, number 18 Tennessee taking on the Kansas Jayhawks here in Lawrence. Just a 9-point lead for Kansas as we get ready for the second half. Jay, I say that just a 9-point lead because it feels like Tennessee's capable of playing a lot better. For stretches in the first half, they couldn't have played much worse.
No question. They shot 30%. 25 of their 31 points came off turnovers or free throws. I think Tennessee's actually in pretty darn good shape here. And this is shaping up for a very good second half for them because I felt like Kansas, as well as they played, kind of escaped the first half with a 9-point lead because they were two different teams. Against man, guard through. A purposeful move by the big guy to come up. They catch Tyler Smith on the wrong side of Marcus Morris inside, or Markieff Morris inside. Just throw the easy little pass, get the dunk. Against man, they were brilliant against the zone. Kansas much more tentative. Their movements kind of dancing through the lane, standing. Their cuts were not hard, and as a result, they wind up settling for a shot, a challenge jump shot in the corner with a hand right in their face. Nothing was purposeful, nothing was hard, and against the zone, they were not as good of a team.
Morris trying to dish down low for Aldridge. First possession of the second half. Tennessee now with it, looking to attack Prince, and a charge, an offensive foul on J.P. Prince, the junior, as Collins absorbed that shot.
Tennessee gets the turnover. They get a transition opportunity, which is when they're at their best, and J.P. Prince charges. Just all he has to do is take a 2-footed jump stop, kiss it off the glass, it's in.
Collins with at times a sensational first half, 14 points, 5 assists, and there were moments with the ball he reminded you of vintage Pearl Washington in his glory days with Syracuse.
He was brilliant, and nobody could stay in front of him.
He's a little bit nicked up right now. Remember, he took that charge, and he took it maybe a little harder than it appeared, but he's all right. Kansas trying to make it 32 consecutive home wins at this venerable building.
Bruce Pearl sticking with this 3-2 zone, the odd man front.
Morningstar's 3. Good way to start. The Jayhawks sharpshooter knocks it down.
That was a purposeful move and an aggressive move by Sharon Collins. He dribbled in, made 2-play 1, and then kicked it into the corner for a wide open shot to Brady Morningstar, who was he had his feet set, and he was waiting for the ball to arrive. I mean, that was just a big-time play by Sharon Collins.
Sean Taylor picks up the personal foul in a rebounding fray. Chisholm deciding to cast a 3 there, and Tennessee had pretty much a lid on that basket from 3-point range in the first half. They were 1 for 11.
Not a good shooting team. They can make some shots, but this is not like last year's team where they could be in certain games devastating from the 3-point line.
He zips it to Chisholm at the foul line. He wants to take it inside, bumping with Aldridge. Caught the back iron. Aldridge hauling in the rebound. He had 4 block shots in the first. The 6'11" sophomore.
Tennessee's gotten 2 really good looks to start the second half. They just haven't been able to get anything out of it. First the charge by Prince, and then Wayne Chisholm going right into the chest of Cole Aldridge. Couldn't get it to go down.
Prince just picked up his 3rd as he popped Collins on the elbow, trying to steal that one from behind. So he's in a little bit of difficulty here in the opening minutes of the second half from Allen Fieldhouse. Collins eyeing that zone. Here's Reed outside. Morningstar just buried that 3. Collins. Morris denied by Chisholm. He's also an exceptional shot blocker. On the run out, Hobson. Rebound tipped up and in. That's going to roll in for Tennessee.
But J.P. Prince doing a nice job of running the floor. Every orange shirt went after that rebound, and nobody just thought that ball was going in off the initial shot. They all assumed it was going to be missed.
Prince with the bucket. 43-33. And you're just sort of sitting around waiting for a Tennessee run or for one individual to offensively take over things for the Volunteers. They have so many weapons.
The man-to-man.
Collins on the low post. Chisholm blocks him. The kick out. Collins three. He around and out. Chisholm's really man-possessed here in the early seconds of half number 2. Mays with a bank shot. Ugly-looking shot. Up with it, Smith, and he'll get fouled and go to the line. Tyler Smith, and maybe he's got to be the answer for the Volunteers. Mays is the solution. That's his nickname, but Smith is going to the line, averaging 17 points a game, the top scorer for the Vols.
Well, there's no question who Tennessee's best player is, and that's Tyler Smith. And they do need to get the ball in his hands because he's a playmaking forward. But in this second half, the best offense for Tennessee could wind up being a missed shot. Now, they had some offensive rebound opportunities in the first half that they weren't able to convert upon. And in the second half, they need to continue to go after the glass. They're the best offensive rebounding team in the SEC, one of the top offensive rebounding teams in the country. They send 4 to the offensive glass every single time.
Tyler Smith's mom in the crowd here this afternoon in Lawrence, Kansas. Shawanda. Tennessee getting a little bit closer now. This is the closest they've been in a long time, within 8. Aldrich up top. Here's Morningstar. Reed, this is a long three. Oh, net 2.
They are just better against man-to-man than they are against zone. Now, against zone, they have stood around. They have not been as aggressive in attacking it. But they have cut up Tennessee's man, gotten wide open shots.
And solid 6 out of 11 from beyond that arc. The spin by Prince. Dumped it down low. Chisholm will finish. And somebody lost a sneaker.
It's Tyrell Reed.
Reed just buried that 3, has to collect the shoe.
And you find out how important you are to the team if they stop and wait for you.
Morningstar needs some help. He needs Reed, and a timeout is called for. They're basically playing a man short.
Now, when you pick up your dribble and one guy's not got a shoe, that's a good time for a timeout.
46-37, timeout. Reed can put it back on now. Kansas by 9. Bill Self working the huddle. A 46-37 lead for his Kansas Jayhawks. He was hit with a technical foul in the first half and was quite hot at the refereeing crew here. Kansas 3 years ago and Kansas today, do you draw some similarities?
No question. 3 years ago, they were a very young team. You can see 3 freshman starters that year: Julian Wright, Brandon Rush, and Mario Chalmers. But they also had a number of sophomores on that team: Sasha Khan, Darnell Jackson. I mean, it was a very young team that started off slowly and then got better and better throughout the season and wound up winning the Big 12. Now, is this team the Big 12 champions this year? I don't know, but they're going to have a say in it. I can tell you that. This team is going to get better and better. They're not quite as athletic as the team that Bill Self had 3 years ago. But I think what it tells you is if you're patient with this team, they are going to get a lot better.
Reed with that sneaker all tied up is fouled with 16:38 to go. It was fascinating to see Bill Self chewing out Reed a little bit when he came over for the huddle because he lost his shoe.
All you have to do is say, "Coach, I'm so quick I stepped out of it. What can I do?"
I'm just that good. Reed to the line where he is 92%. Monday night on ESPN, catch a clash of talented big men and a Big East rivalry reignited. It's Georgetown taking on Notre Dame. The Hoyas led by freshman Greg Monroe, and of course Notre Dame led by Luke Herringody. College hoops on ESPN Monday at 7. Jay, you have that one.
I just can't get over the brutal start that Georgetown has to the Big East schedule. They had UConn at Pittsburgh today. Notre Dame on Monday, then they got Providence, Syracuse, and then they wound up playing Duke in a non-conference game.
Smith leaned in, his shot denied. And then Kansas has not allowed an opponent to hit 50% of their shots all season long.
I think Tennessee missed a great opportunity in the first 4 minutes of the second half. Kansas a much more confident team now than they were when they started the second half.
So great job by Morris there. Marcus Morris, one of the two freshman Morrises from Philadelphia, to stay with it and drop it down to lead back up to 13. Morris has 5.
Tennessee had an opportunity for a couple of easy baskets to start the second half, and they came away with nothing.
In traffic, Smith, rebound pops right out. And that's going to be an offensive foul. A charge on the Volunteers. And on Prince, that's his 4th. Almost 16 minutes to go, but Kansas back in a comfort zone here at home. Brian, thanks. I know it's not a headline. It's tough in the Big East, isn't it? Syracuse barely shaking off South Florida last night for the victory. Kansas with the lead here 50-37. And Jay, let's get to your January reset in college basketball.
Well, in the Southeastern Conference, how about an underrated player, or a player that needs to get a lot more press? And that's Courtney Forks in the guard from Arkansas. He's averaging over 15 points per game, 5.5 rebounds as a little guard, and 7 assists. Now, who's the toughest player in the SEC? I think it's Patrick Patterson of Kentucky. I mean, he's had an extraordinary year, shooting over 72% from the field. And I think the best team in the Southeastern Conference is going to prove to be Tennessee. But right now they are not playing like the best team. They need to pick it up, not only on the defensive end, but they need to be more efficient with their offense and finish plays.
Well, they need to pick it up here this afternoon, or they're going to go down at Kansas. That went off of Reed Shin, and he can't get to it. And a rollout off of him. 15:27 to play. And Bill Self nearly got ejected. He might have been a couple of well-placed comments in the first half from getting ejected. He was teed up. Straight on Woolridge, and he's going to bury that 3. It seems like that tirade really paid off, though.
I think it really helped his team. I think it got him. It shook him up a little bit. Kind of shook him out of some doldrums. And they came out in the second half, and they held their own. They extended the lead. But I still think Tennessee's got a great opportunity not only to get back into this game, but put some real game pressure back on this young team.
Morningstar looking inside. Morris collects. Short range blocked away by Williams. Ryan Williams, a big body at 6'10" out of the Bronx. He's their number 2 rebounder, and he only plays 17 minutes a game.
And a very good offensive rebounder. Remember last year he had that big game against Western Kentucky at 16 points and 14 rebounds.
Aldridge handing off for Collins, who's been quiet here in the first 5 minutes of the second half after a blistering first half. Morningstar is free. Usually that means an almost automatic 3. Tough rebound by Aldridge, slapped away by Tennessee.
Well, Brian Williams went out to challenge that shot, but he went out without his hands up. It's almost like he's trying to block it with his face. I mean, he just kept his hands down by his side. That's no way to challenge a shot.
Over the top again to Aldridge into the backcourt. 14:40 left.
I think Tennessee can pick off on those. That's an awfully difficult pass against a really athletic team to be able to pull off.
Collins working on Tab. One-on-one, he's been almost impossible to stop. Great move by Morris, and he'll lay it in, and the foul. Beautiful run play by Kansas.
Tennessee really chasing after that. You can see that Smith on this play kind of tries to hedge out. It almost looked like a switch for a time. But Josh Tabb chasing after it. Nobody rotated over. Brian Williams has to rotate over there to stop that pass. That is a classic pick and roll, but it was just way too easy.
So the freshman Marcus Morris, good ball handler as well at his size. Can't convert on the 3-point play. 12-point lead for the Jayhawks. Wild play by Smith. That one tipped once and twice, and the Volunteers will keep it.
We don't often see Tyler Smith out of control, but he was out of control on that play. And I think that Kansas can take advantage of this sort of sense of urgency that Tennessee is starting to get defensively by using pass fakes and shot fakes.
Tab airborne. Tough glass shot on the foul. He'll be shooting for a 3-point play. Josh Tab, the junior, with a tremendous job in the lane.
Josh Tab is a lefty. Used a little shot fake, and Morris didn't stay down on that closeout. That caused Aldridge to have to come over, and it just didn't square his body up. He wasn't really going to take a charge. He got caught between a shot block and a charge, but Josh Tab is a great athlete. He can really move his feet and really fast.
Second foul on Aldridge. Tad scuffles at the line. Just 4 out of 11 on the season. Morris with the rebound, and here come the Jayhawks. Collins had 14 in the first half, also 5 assists, a number of spectacular driving baskets. Certainly looked like every bit an All-American. He's bumped and fouled. Williams just had difficulty getting out of the way there. That's his fourth.
It's a sideline ball screen. Williams really had no chance. They're attacking him off of ball screens, and Jerron Collins went right into his body knowing that he could draw that foul on Brian Williams.
There is virtually no room on those sidelines. Bruce Pearl was talking to us about this before the game. It was a reason he gave. He might want to trap and press more on.
It's a very cramped feeling, and it reminded him of Florida a little bit. It reminds you of Cameron Indoor Stadium. And the court seems smaller because things are so cramped just off the floor. But Kansas is used to that feeling. You know, it's usually a problem for the opponent because they're not used to it. They're not here all the time. Kansas plays there all the time.
Reed will drill the three. Tyrell Reed, the former Mr. Basketball in the state of Kansas, and you see why with that shooting touch. 55-42. Reed has 8. He's given him a very nice lift.
Well, Kansas may be growing up a bit right here. This would be a really big win for this team. There's still a long way to go. But so far in the second half, they have answered every bell.
Woolridge, the son of the great Orlando Woolridge. Here's Tatum. Awkward shot on the baseline. He's bumped and fouled by Reed with 13:13 to go.
Jerron Collins is so hard to stay in front of, especially off a ball screen, just driving in, and Cameron Tatum comes in to try to stop that penetration, and that's a long distance to have to recover from. And Tyrell Reed did a nice job of setting his feet. Both he and Morningstar do a really good job of spotting up off of penetration, and especially off of those ball screens. This ball screen offense is really effective when they move the ball from side to side.
See how well they have passed it. 22 field goals on 16 assists for Kansas. Freshman Tatum rolls it in. And no pressure this time by Tennessee.
Full court pressure. Anytime you put full court pressure, it's kind of giving an opportunity for Kansas to push it up and get numbers. And you've got to make them go against 5 guys. And that's what Bruce Pearl is trying right now.
Aldridge on the low post. That one deflected off Tennessee. Here inside Fog Allen Fieldhouse, one of the great places to watch a college basketball game. What a treat it is here in Lawrence. Number 18 Tennessee, top 20 national ranking, on the line against Kansas. Dave O'Brien, Jay Billis alongside. On the drive, Collins got a little bit of breathing room, but also got fouled on the play. He'll be shooting.
Emmanuel Negadu had to switch off on Jerron Collins. He was the inbound man. And whenever Jerron Collins takes the ball out of bounds underneath, they're looking for him. If they don't get their initial movement off the little screens inside, they're looking for Collins. And there was no way, as good of an athlete as Negadu is, and he's a spectacular athlete, there's no way he can stay in front of Jerron Collins.
Negadu's second personal. He didn't start playing organized basketball until he was 15 years old. 6'7" freshman from Nigeria. And Collins with another one coming. Coming up on a double-double. This, believe it or not, the first time that Tennessee and Kansas have ever met in men's basketball. They've not squared off in any of the 3 major men's sports, basketball, football, or baseball, in 15 years. Hard to believe.
Two really good programs in basketball would not have met each other, whether it be by tournament or an arranged game during the regular season.
Timeout on Bruce Pearl. He takes one here with 12:36 to play. Tomorrow night, ESPN delivers the 2nd annual Under Armour All-American High School Football game from Disney's Wide World of Sports Complex. 80 players from across the nation will take part in the All-Star Football competition. It spotlights the nation's best. The Under Armour All-American High School Football game presented by ESPNU on ESPN tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern. Now, Bruce Pearl's team, number 18 in the country, 9-2 overall. but in trouble on the road in Kansas because Sharon Collins has been superb.
You know, Sharon Collins is just a gamer. I mean, he competes his tail off on every play, and Dave, we've talked about him being the best pure basketball player on this team. He's unafraid, and I think his courage as a player has really rubbed off on his teammates. He is making plays for other people, and whenever Kansas has faced man-to-man defense from Tennessee, they have really performed at a high level. You know, they've been very efficient. The only problem they've had has been against zone.
Now Collins has gone from being a very key player, a sixth man on a national championship team, to being the unquestioned leader of Kansas, surrounded by a lot of very young and inexperienced players. But he has really grown into that role as well. That's going to be a foul on Tennessee and on Chisholm off the ball.
Kansas is really learning to guard. And they are really defending with a lot of pride on every possession. And they're communicating pretty well. They're active. And that's the hardest thing, I think, to get freshmen to do, is to play every single possession as hard as they can and as alertly as they can in a basketball game in college.
Collins will get a breather here. Morningstar back on for Bill Self. Morningstar trying to use a screen by Aldridge here. Reed will swing it. Good ball movement. Taylor takes the baseline. Difficult shot. Rebound batted away. Aldridge actually punched at it, and it worked. It's off Tennessee.
Well, Tennessee going back to that zone, trying to match up out of it. And they're starting to become, even though there's 12 minutes to go, I don't want to say a look of desperation, but you know, the Tennessee players look a little confused.
Almost as if they're sensing their fate here today. Well, it started out as if Kansas would blow their doors off. They had a 25-9 lead. Morningstar into the corner. Reed, difficult shot. Certainly a challenge shot right from the Kansas bench. Mays will give it up. Here's Tab on the drive. On the spin, throws it away. Caught by Marcus Morris. Back to Taylor it goes, and he finishes. Beautifully run break by the Jayhawks. Now they're opening it up again. Lead at 15. Chisholm in the air. He's denied and fouled as he was dumping off on the pass. 11:30 to go here. Tennessee traveling to Lawrence, Kansas, and for Bruce Pearl, it's just been one of those days so far.
Lawrence.
Wow, we'll keep a close eye on that one, Ryan. Thank you very much. Tough sledding inside the Big East, and for SEC fans and Tennessee fans, tough sledding so far here in Lawrence, Kansas.
Yeah, it's interesting. You see a score like that coming out of the Big East, and it just points up how important every game is in that conference, because Notre Dame should beat St. John's. If they play their best, they should win that game. But you can play your best against the top of that league and get clipped. And that's why those games at the quote-unquote bottom of the league become even more important to win.
South Florida nearly clipped Syracuse in Florida last night. Chisholm draws contact, wanted the three-point play. As he gets help to his feet, he will go to the line.
Mario Little trying to knock some rust off. And that was a play where he just needed to stay solid and make Chisholm score over him.
How big an impact can Little make on Kansas coming back from that busted hand and a fracture in the leg?
Although the hand they're not really worried about. That's not as big of an issue. They're more worried about whether the stress fracture in that leg can hold up for the rest of the season. And they've got to make that decision pretty quickly as to whether he's going to redshirt or whether he's going to give it a go for the rest of the year. I think he can be a big impact player for this team. Once he starts playing full speed again and gets confidence that he's going to be okay, and he's got to get his wind back.
Bill Self putting him in there today. Got a very nice round of applause when he entered the contest in the early going of the first half. Kansas fans so knowledgeable. Taylor shreds everybody and lays it in.
Well, it almost doesn't matter right now what Tennessee's in, whether they're in a matchup zone or they're going back to man. That was the defense we saw from Tennessee in the first half, where Kansas got whatever they wanted. That was just a walk in the park to the rim.
Smith with the kick out. Crowd wanted to travel.
Now, this is a tough environment for Tennessee to play in. Good double team in the post by Morris. Came from the high side, but this is a tough environment. but Tennessee is much better than they're showing. It is a good basketball team. They've not played well today. That's got to be really frustrating for Bruce Pearl, knowing that they've got a lot left in them that they haven't shown yet.
They've beaten Georgetown, they've beaten Marquette, 2 teams in the top 25. But after their loss to Temple, when Deontay Christmas lit them up, Bruce Pearl said, we are not a top 10 team. We're not as good as we have been ranked to that point in the season, as Chisholm gets bodied and fouled with 10:40 to play. Right now, number 18, as you say, playing in a very difficult environment where Kansas has won 31 consecutive games.
And if Kansas were able to win this game, it'd be a big boost for this young team. It would give them some belief. You know, they beat Temple, and Temple's a good team, not a great team. This would be a higher level win and a resume building win for Kansas that they will be able to point to at the end of the season and say, look, we beat the SEC champs, or one of the top 2 teams in the SEC, whatever it winds up being. You know, this effort for Tennessee, as good as I think the balls are going to be, this will not beat the best teams in the SEC on the road.
Chisholm slapped it out of bounds. Kansas to keep it. The Jayhawks at 9-3. They lost to Syracuse in overtime earlier in the season, lost to UMass and lost to Arizona. They've got Michigan State coming up next week at East Lansing. Taylor is out in front and definitively slams it down. He has 10.
Tennessee looking to get the steal and wind up giving up the easy one as a result.
Mays draws the foul. He'll go to the line for a 3-point play.
Kansas was pinned on the sideline here. It's a difficult angle, but you can see Taylor just goes long and nobody steps in front of him. I mean, it was just too easy. And Chisholm needed to put a little bit more pressure on the ball to keep that pass
from coming in. You don't mind if it goes to Kansas's basket, but you don't want it going that easily toward yours.
So 4 fouls on Taylor. He hits the bench. Mays connects for a 3-point play. Morningstar trying to check in, does for Collins, and he throws it away. Chisholm around the back at midcourt.
That's an unusual turnover for Sharon Collins.
Traveling is Mays. Unsure what he wanted to do there.
He should have just pulled the trigger on the 3. He's wide open for it. Step into it and let it go.
Checking in at Jayhawk lineup.
Sharon Collins, when he caught that ball, had to come back to it. Caught it in what Rick Pitino calls the coffin corner and got trapped. But that's the only trap that Tennessee's going to throw at you in the backcourt. If he negotiates that trap and is strong with it, you know, they're going to retreat.
Morningstar has the pass tipped. They'll try to get it back in here. 10:19 left. The way it started with Kansas out in front 25-9, they really put the pedal to the metal on the Volunteers.
You see where Morningstar stood to inbound that ball? He backed up in between the scorer's table to give himself some more space.
That's right. There's a little separation there.
Anytime you got Wayne Chisholm on you and you're backed up like that to the scorer's table, you got to make some pass fakes and see if he'll bite on it.
Aldridge right on target. He brings that back behind his ear and drills it.
I don't know why they're not pressuring him out there. Right? They couldn't be worried he's going to drive around Wayne Chisholm and dunk it. They'll go out and make them put it on the ground.
Thompson simply tossed it away. Here's that play you were talking about.
Look where he is. He's standing outside of the scorer's table to give him more room. He's also made himself about 3 inches taller. It's a pretty good move by Brady Morningstar there.
He's about to roll into that crowd. Lead back at 15 now for Kansas. Collins, pass denied. Good defense there by Chisholm. They pick it off. Mays wants to push the tempo. The Volunteers have been trying to do it all day. He gets fouled again. He's back to the line. Mays is trying to make something happen against Self in Kansas. Trying to be the solution, his nickname. Allen Iverson, the man he patterns his game and the look after. What's the answer? 3 fouls on Morris.
They both look similarly exasperated there. The way this game has gone. You know, Bobby Mays hasn't really played his best over the last 6 games. He got off to a great start. He's a good player. He started off at the University of Oklahoma and then wound up at Hutchinson Junior College, where he was a really good junior college player. He had a great year.
Pearl raves about his leadership abilities. He has 10 points.
It's a technical foul. Smith touched the ball while it was in Brady Morningstar's hands. And Morningstar just showed it to him, and he bid on it. And
not allowed to do that.
And Morningstar, on the other hand, a very cagey last couple of plays with the basketball. That is the second technical foul we've had in the game. The other
Morningstar, you mentioned about him being cagey. He's very cagey as a defender. He guarded Deontay Christmas when they played Temple. Chase Budinger did a good job on him, even though he's a lot bigger and more athletic. He's done a really good job with angles and knowing where to be. Great position defense.
Collins with another technical coming. And in and out on that one. So he missed the pair.
Take a look here at what Tyler Smith did. Morningstar sees got the ball there, and he just shows it to him, holds it out, and he just slaps at it.
Kansas with the ball back as well. Does not count as a player personal foul, by the way, as Smith tips it out. 9:25 left. And Tennessee playing stronger deny defense than they have at any point in the game over the last couple of minutes. The question is, will it be too late for Bruce Pearl?
You can see Chisholm trying to take away the long pass now.
Collision. That one squibs out off of Kansas.
Much better job by Wayne Chisholm. He took away deep and made Kansas throw back.
And it was sort of a lame duck pass. Kansas has to throw more straight line passes, but it's really hard to do with Wayne Chisholm guarding.
Marcus Morris back on for his twin brother Markeith. Their mom Angel is in the crowd here today. She was here for their game against Temple as well. She likes Lawrence.
Okay, Chisholm was open, but they couldn't see him because of the pressure on Tyler Smith. I don't think there's any forward that Kansas can put on Tyler Smith that can stay in front of him.
Collins trying to break the pressure. Got by Mays. Morris with the alley-oop for Aldridge. Up top, Morningstar. They move it well. Collins for three. Rebounded by Morris and up and in. Markeith Morris. Mom loving the effort.
Well, that was just great ball movement by Kansas.
Smith to penetrate, collides, and a blocking foul against Kansas with 8:41 to go on Morris. Angel not too sweet on that call. A Wednesday night, ESPN delivers a special evening of hoops. First at 7, it's Davidson against Duke. NBA talent Mike Tirico, Jeff Van Gundy, and Mark Jackson will call the college basketball game. And then at 9 Eastern, your NBA destination takes you to Denver. Dick Vitale and Dan Schulman will call the NBA game between the Heat and the Nuggets. That's on Wednesday.
It'll be fun to hear from Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy about Stephen Curry and their impressions of him as a player and a prospect when they go into Cameron Indoor Stadium. And my understanding from Jeff and Mark, they've never been there. Never been to Cameron Indoor Stadium.
You know, one of the great college basketball venues was certainly here inside Allen Fieldhouse. You count this near the top of the list. It was a terrific career at St. John's for Mark. Over 1,300 career points.
Boy, just a great player. Not only in college, but in the NBA. But when he was at St. John's,
boy, that was a great team that Louis Carnesecca had. In the backcourt with Ron Rowan, Willie Glass. They had Walter Berry up front, Shelton Jones, Marco Baldi.
Which you can't say enough. One of those fun names as Smith goes to the line. By the way, Markeith Morris has just fouled out. And a 12-point lead for the Jayhawks with about 8.5 minutes to play.
Still a long time to go in this game. But Tennessee has not had much go right in their visit to Allen Fieldhouse.
Morningstar trying to work around Chisholm, a little fall away. Morris with a rebound, stripped from him by Mays. Strong hands, but then he kicks it back. Over to Morningstar. He has Collins and Aldridge. Aldridge will finish it, and the foul. He goes to the line.
Bobby Mays just a little out of control, and the nice back tip. And I think that Tyler Smith thought Morningstar was going to lay it off to Sharon Collins, but instead he just throws it back, the little no look, and a great catch and finish by Cole Aldrich.
Chisholm with his 4th foul. Aldrich connects. 70-55.
Well, Bill Self preaches toughness to his team, and I think has questioned his team's toughness throughout the early part of this season. But thus far in the game, Kansas has been the tougher team and hasn't been close.
Mays lost it, but off of Kansas. He's certainly trying to be the go-to guy here. He's distributing the ball for the Volunteers, but not many finishers for Tennessee today.
Well, they're pressing now. He's banging the ball in one spot on the floor. There's no movement. They haven't gotten into their flex action. There it is, flex and downstream, wide open shot.
And Smith got an excellent look. It will not fall. A scramble for the rebound and a timeout. With 7:39 remaining. And Kansas celebrating a 15-point advantage over number 18 Tennessee. Bill Self and his very young squad, which lost all the starters from last year, growing up pretty fast here. They have won 31 consecutive home games. You have to go back to February 3rd, 2007 here at Allen Fieldhouse, the last time they lost here. A&M coach was Billy Gillespie. The Aggies closed the game on a 17-4 run, pulled ahead for good at the 22nd mark, and a three-pointer by A.C. Law. He finished with 23. The Aggie victory marked the first time a Big 12 South opponent won inside Allen Fieldhouse.
Yeah, we had College game day here for that game, and that's probably one of the reasons Kansas lost. And I think Digger gave a pep talk to the Kansas team before the game. Yeah. So he probably won't be invited to do that again.
No, I think that's it for Digger. The 4th longest in the NCAA. Jay Billis, Dave O'Brien with you, and such a wonderful atmosphere every time you come in here. A lot of the students have made their way back, filling up that student section. 121 consecutive sellouts now.
And it's got such great history. You know, we were talking with Bill Frieder, the former coach at Michigan and Arizona State. And he's had teams play here before and talks about what an honor it is to bring a team here. This is the first time that Bruce Pearl has been able to bring a team here. He's been here to scout before, back when college coaches were allowed to go out on the road scouting in person rather than just on tape. And you know, I know he considers it an honor. Doesn't feel like one right now because his team has just been dominated in this game. And Tennessee has given up 70 points already. There's still 7.5 minutes to go.
Kansas just ran them out of their shoes in the opening 7 or 8 minutes. And have held on ever since. Aldrich stuffs that one down off the feet from Marcus Morris. He's had a big game at 18.
Just this ball screen offense by Kansas. The rotations have been slow. They've not handled the ball screens very well. And Kansas gets the ball and moves it to the other side of the floor. And the best place to score usually is from the other side of the floor.
Smith fouled on a reverse layup under that rim with 7 minutes to go. And a couple of big slams by Aldrich as the Jayhawks in great shape inside Allen Fieldhouse, trying to run that streak to 32 straight wins.
You ever heard the phrase, if you can't beat them, join them? You know, there's some Tennessee fans here, and they've gone with the Kansas lid. And look at this guy. He's got the Kansas lid. He's already taken off the orange shirt. He had an orange shirt on before. That's the kind of day it's been for Tennessee today.
Is that a flag of surrender? Some split allegiances here, clearly. And Allen Fieldhouse, the first time Tennessee and Kansas have ever met in men's basketball. It's got just a little bit better for the Jayhawks than it has for the sad-looking Volunteers at this point.
Well, I think it's more a mark of respect. You know, the folks that came to cheer on their Volunteers, they realize that this is a great place to play and it's a unique experience.
Mays nails a three from the wing. So he's doing what he can. He has 13 points.
Well, Tennessee's got to make something happen, but they got to be careful not to gamble. They foul right there. You don't want to gamble and give up something easy. You just want to stay solid because there's still 6:47 left in this game. That is still plenty of time.
You can't get it all back at once. You just have to chip away at it.
Bruce Pearl just has not found a reliable scorer or a scoring duo here this afternoon. Nobody he can really go to time and time again. And Mays is trying to make that happen. Relaford at the line here.
You know what they really haven't found too, Dave, in addition to that, is they haven't found any reliable defense. I mean, they've played some good possessions of defense here and there. You give up 70-something points, you know, with 7 minutes to go. That's too many. That's way too many.
Kansas continues to hit 50%. They're also 7 out of 15 from 3. They've out-rebounded Tennessee 39-30. And they've really just outplayed them in every phase of the game. Hobson hustles into the corner, and the Volunteers have it.
Well, here's a measure for you. I mean, Kansas has not been dunking on people this year. I mean, they've been dunking on Tennessee. They've gotten a lot of dunks in this game. And that's one of the measures of a defense that's been giving up way too many easy opportunities. Now, Kansas going with a 2-3 zone.
Aldrich in particular has been that guy. Here's Mays straight on. Relaford with the rebound.
And that was kind of a quick three. It didn't have any movement of the defense first, and everybody in position a lot harder to grab an offensive rebound.
Tennessee 3 out of 16 beyond the arc. Collins trying to get away from that trap. And traveling with it.
The Cardinals saying that Sharon Collins just moved that pivot foot when Tyler Smith was pressuring him. Stick with that 2-3 zone. That middle's going to be open. If you can get the ball to Tyler Smith into the middle, let him make a play. But he's just standing there. He needs to move around.
And Smith on the baseline, dribbling away from pressure, now back into the lane. Pitches that one to Hobson. Yes, a three-pointer, and they need a lift like that from somebody.
If Kansas is going to play zone, the guy that's going to break this zone is going to be Tyler Smith. They got it to him in the short corner, he made a play. If you get it to him in the middle, he's going to make a play.
Volunteers trying to force that turnover. Relaford gave up his dribble. Here's Collins now. Collins tripped up and fouled with 5:27 left. Is there enough time for Tennessee? Now, Collins a little bit shaken up as he hit the deck.
Looked like he banged his head on the ground.
It's going to be number 5 on Prince.
Prince is saying he didn't touch him. And he didn't. He did not touch him. He actually got hit in the head by Prince after the call, but he just slipped. That was a missed call by the referee. That was calling the result instead of seeing what happened. Because at the beginning, I didn't see a trip, but it seemed like that's what happened when it got called. But clearly the referee never saw it because it never happened.
Now Prince is fouled out on that phantom foul with 5 points and 6 rebounds.
So, you know, Dave, those are the ones, and that happens in games. I'm not trying to bang on the officials here, but those are the ones that have always driven me crazy. And that is, you know, people complain about late calls. I've never cared about a late call. I want it to be right. So if they're a little bit late, if they wait to find out what happened, fine. But if you don't see it, if somebody falls down and you don't see what made him fall down, too bad. You know, you got to call what you see, and clearly he didn't see it because it didn't happen.
Yeah. Assumption. 3 points in the second half for Collins. We've seen a lot more zone in the second 20 minutes. 75-62. Still pretty comfortable for the Jayhawks. Volunteers trying to build a threat. There's Chisholm. Yes, all net on the 3.
Back to man, and just in that little flex. And just off the down screen, able to get it to Chisholm, and he was ready to shoot when he caught it.
Morningstar trying to break that pressure. He does on the dribble. Up ahead, Collins.
That's what I'm talking about, Dave. The gamble by Cameron Tatum gave Kansas numbers, and they took advantage of it.
Chisholm his second consecutive 3 around and out. There's a foul underneath. Under 5 minutes to go.
Cameron Tatum essentially dove for that ball, and all of a sudden now everybody's trailing the play, and you've got a 3-on-2 scrambling, and Kansas takes advantage of it. You can't just give, even though you're trying to get back in the game. You can't just give Kansas.
So 2 shots for Smith on the Morningstar foul. And that's Brady Morningstar's second. Smith with a quiet 16 points 7 rebounds. Came in averaging 17 and 6.
Now, if Smith makes this, we've got a 10-point game with just under 5 minutes to go. That's a long time. And there's no reason for Tennessee to gamble in a crazy way. Play hard, play solid, and make sure you don't give up anything easy. And they've still got a great shot in this game.
He made 22 out of 30 foul shots. So the lead indeed at 10. Morris slanting inside, block from behind. Great play by Smith, but boy, did he go down hard. Here's Tatum. Yes, a 3 and a timeout. And Smith very, very slow to rise, but defiantly so. A sensational block, and then Jay, he hit the floor about as hard as you can hit it.
And it looked like he hurt his hand. They may be taking those hats off in a minute. But that's what I'm talking about. I mean, they get a 3 now. They're back in this game. Just a great block. Oof. Off the ball screen slip. Nice pass ahead, and all of a sudden, there's some game pressure on Kansas by Tennessee. We've got a 3-possession game again.
Well, there is certainly life in the Volunteers. Morningstar running that baseline into Collins. Tatum stayed off him.
Remember, Cameron Tatum had that great game against Georgetown where he made 3 threes in about 5 minutes.
Tyler Smith stayed on the floor, and Allen thrown away. Back over to the Volunteers it goes.
They're trying to catch Tennessee on these slips. And Morris caught him on a slip, and it was erased by Tyler Smith. Trying to catch him in a slip, and Brady Morningstar throws it out of bounds. Now, all of a sudden, look who's back in this game. That's called game pressure.
Chisholm wants the ball, working on Aldridge. A long 3. Off target.
Just a dumb shot. Off of one pass.
If you're a Volunteer fan, your first question is why? Collins held up by Mays, who fouls him, reaching in. 3:52 left here. Bruce Pearl knows he is finally in it at Allen Fieldhouse today. Bill Self working that huddle. His team has seen a 17-point lead. Jay Billis carved down to 7.
And Tennessee has had some opportunities. That last shot by Wayne Chisholm, I don't think a very good one. Bruce Pearl, certainly didn't get on him after that. He wants his team to stay confident, but this is still very much a ball game.
Close losses have been a problem. Syracuse against Kansas. Just over 6 seconds to play. Johnny Flynn nails it. And in overtime, Kansas loses. And on the 13th of December, the Sprint Center, they lost 61-60 to UMass. UMass timeout, 13.3 seconds remaining. Sharon Collins drove the lane. Had that layup attempt roll off. And UMass would win it 61-60, and holding on to leads has been an issue.
It has been, and it's a young team, but this is how fragile this season is for so many different teams for a variety of reasons. This Kansas team, with a couple of plays, just 2 plays, one in the Syracuse game, one in the UMass game, could be 11-1.
Collins makes the first 8-point game for Kansas.
One shot.
And the junior out of Chicago with another one coming here.
This young man has had a great game.
Very smooth, making 2. Lead back. The crowd eager for a defensive stop. Smith working on Morris. Jumps into the lane, back out to Tatum. Here's his 3. Found and off.
Nice box out by Cole Aldridge to get that ball. And I thought that there should have been a foul there on Morris. He had his hands all over Tyler Smith on that drive.
They both hit the deck. Collins jitterbugging in, swatted away by Chisholm, who has had a big block day. Got about half a dozen blocks. He's got 6 blocks today.
He's such an important player for this team. I think they could throw it to him a little bit more often in the post. He tends to take a lot of jump shots.
Came back from that awful fall before New Year's. Looked like a very serious injury. Collins knocked away from him. 13 seconds to shoot now for Kansas. 3:10 on the game clock.
Collins inbounding the ball. Once they get it in, he's going to be the guy they look to. As long as they don't get a layup. I mean, that was way too easy.
20 for Aldridge. Another stuff for him. Lead up to 11.
Tennessee had a chance to cut it to 5, but that bad shot by Chisholm. Now all of a sudden it's a double-digit lead.
Mays down the lane, dumps it off. They run the play well for Chisholm and a bucket. They need more of that.
Need more aggressive moves. Now they have to be smart here. That Kansas wants to keep it in the hands of Sherron Collins as long as they can.
Screen side to side. The refusal.
Taylor the kick to Aldridge, and another dunk for the big fella. It's been a stuff fest for him. Aldridge with 22 points.
There's way too much time for what Tennessee's doing. They're rolling the ball up. They're in last minute mode, and they didn't need to be. And they've been in last minute mode for the last 2 or 3 minutes. And
Kansas has just cut up this Tennessee defense. On the inbound play, just a little big on little screen. Everybody goes with Morningstar. No communication at all. And then the nice drive, the refusal off of the ball screen. Now, Tennessee has been so worried about guarding these ball screens that Taylor just refused it and went the other way. And there was no rotation. Just really poor ball screen defense by Tennessee. And that's not what this team is about. This is a much better team than it showed.
Double-double for Aldridge, the 10 rebounds and the 22 points. Mays makes the second one.
Last year, Dave, this Kansas team that wound up winning the national championship, they played through 5 guys. You know, the go-to guy was essentially the open man for Kansas. Well, this year they played through 2. They played through Sherron Collins and Cole Aldridge. They're still looking for that third scorer, somebody to emerge. But today, Sherron Collins and Cole Aldridge were more than enough. Kansas today was a really good team behind those 2.
Well, they both with 22 points at this point. A foul with 1:53 left. Trying to stop Collins from running more clock. 1:53 before Kansas can celebrate a win, which would be their first marquee win of the season. 2 shots coming now for Collins. 81% at the line. Kansas as a team makes 73%, which is the best in the Big 12 at the moment. Collins now with 23. Really has had a spectacular day. The point total is impressive, but it really doesn't tell the whole story of how he has commanded the basketball and the rhythm of this game.
Just what I would call a courageous performance by him. I mean, he really took the team on his back, and I think they took from his strength and the way he started the game and how he fought from the opening tap.
Another foul with 1:44 on the clock. That's going to be number 5 on Morris. So both Marcus and Markeith will foul out here against Tennessee.
Tennessee really hasn't been able to get into any coherent offense. It's been difficult for them to make that guard-to-guard pass. They didn't get enough down screens in order to get some movement to be able to initiate. And Kansas's defense, this has to be the best defense they've played all season. And they played some really good defense. And they lead their league in field goal percentage defense. They're a good passing team. They do turn it over a little bit too much, but this is their best performance to date.
Mario Little will check in. He'll self-selecting who he's going to bring into the contest. And it'll be Little. World's strongest man coming up next as soon as we finish up in Lawrence.
World's strongest man has been Sharon Collins today.
He sure has been in this state. And Smith dips and short on the foul shot.
There's nothing going right for Tennessee. Every time they were able to knock on that door,
Boy, they had an opportunity when it was 77-70 and Chisholm pulled the trigger on that, what I consider to be a bad shot, that three. You know, I think their hopes of winning this game went out the window.
Baseball pass to Taylor on the money. Here's Tatum from the wing. Yes, a three-pointer timeout. Bruce Pearl. 1:34 to go. It's back to a 10-point game as we check in back in the studio with Ryan Burr. Ryan, thank you very much. Number 18 is in very serious trouble as well, as Tennessee is trailing by 10 with 1:34 remaining here at Fog Island Fieldhouse.
You know, Kansas has just executed very well. I mean, to put up 87 points on this team in a game which wasn't all that up and down. It wasn't like this is a track meet, but with the pressure that Tennessee has been trying to put on, the fact that they're going for steals, Kansas several times has burned this team long.
Collins working on Mays here. First time that Kansas and Tennessee have ever played in men's basketball. You're talking about 111 years of hoops back to their very first coach at Kansas, a gentleman by the name of James Naismith. You may have heard of him. And for Tennessee, this is their 100th year of basketball, and yet their first meeting ever.
I think anybody ever said to Naismith when they're coaching, wait, you think he invented the game?
In the corner, Morningstar wins it back, lays it in. He was relentless on the play. He's had a very good day with 11 points. And some big baskets. Aldridge with a big block. Crowd was already revved up after the effort by Morningstar. That's 6 blocks out of Cole Aldridge.
Cole Aldridge has been a big-time player in this game. And he stayed in the game. No silly fouls. He's done a great job on the glass. He's been the anchor of the defense.
Went for another. Couldn't quite reach that one.
Kansas has grown up a lot today. You know, we've talked about it being a young team. Everybody says young. They're so young and inexperienced. They didn't have a very good practice yesterday. They were very young in practice.
But they have put it all together in this game.
Back to Morningstar, however, on that last hoop. This kind of effort they've gotten all day.
Well, he doesn't give up on the play. He goes after the ball, and Cameron Tatum isn't able to secure it with both hands, and that's part of toughness. You know, that's what Bill Self has been talking to his team about. Don't give up on a play. Loose ball. That should be our ball. Go after everything with 2 hands. And he made the point in practice the other day. He really got on a player for going after the ball with 1 hand.
And he said, you know, you're giving all that effort to go after that ball. How much harder is it to reach that second hand out there and go after it with both hands?
Morning. A really productive day for him. A sophomore out of Lawrence, Kansas. His dad, Roger, was a starter on the 1974 Kansas team that went to the Final Four. He's at all the games. Brady is a local kid out of Lawrence. Here's Hobson with a 3.
3-point basket.
But just too little of that today and far too late for Tennessee. Hayes will foul Collins with 19 seconds left, but this will simply give the Kansas faithful more of an opportunity to celebrate their best win of the season.
By far. And their best performance of the season. I mean, this was a confident Tennessee team that was coming in here, you know, having J.P. Prince back after missing 3 games with an injury. And thinking Tennessee came in here, I believe, thinking they were the better team. And Kansas really took them to the woodshed from really the very beginning of the game.
There's a pulsating start led by Sharon Collins. Mays fouls out. He played very hard, particularly in the second half, but could not bring Tennessee all the way back. And the key point was, as you pointed out, Jay, when it was 77-70. And coming out of a timeout and with the basketball, Tennessee had the opportunity to really put a hurt on Kansas and make them think about this thing down the stretch. But Chisholm missed that very questionable 3-pointer. Collins has that one roll out. Collins with 25 points to tie his career high. Chisholm will bank this one in. That brings a lot of oohs and ahs here at Fog Allen. 91-85 with 10.8 seconds left.
Even Chisholm was shaking his head. He kind of gave the shrug of the shoulders in the opposite manner that Michael Jordan did it years ago.
He just knocks that thing off the window. He says, now that one goes in.
We talked a lot about Sherron Collins. Let's bring you his championship moment. The title game last April against Memphis. Collins diving for the ball. He grabbed it, saved it to Jackson, who kicked it right back to Collins for a three-pointer to cut the lead to 4. He wound up in that game at 11.6 assists and 3 steals as Kansas won the national title in overtime in a great game, 75-68.
You know, and that play was every bit as important, if not more so, than the shot that Mario Chalmers hit. You know, I thought one of the best things of that play was the pass that Russell Robinson made out to Collins.
You know, Collins made the steal, stuck with the play. But that was a great, not a good pass, a great pass by Russell Robinson.
Collins was last season's Big 12 Sixth Man of the Year on a team that would win the national championship. Here he is deep in the backcourt, fouled again by Hobson with 7.9 left.
I think people are saying, well, why is he fouling? Why is he fouling?
32, Scotty Hobson.
It's still a 2-possession game. That's why he's fouling.
31 consecutive home wins for Kansas. That was on the line coming in here this afternoon. Collins back to the stripe. This is for a career high. 25 points at the moment. And very fitting that he does it here today against Tennessee in this ball game, Jay, with the day he had.
Well, especially against such a big-time opponent. And to answer the bell like he has. He's been such a leader for this team. And I think that Kansas all year long is going to take their strength from Sherron Collins. How he goes is in large measure going to be how Kansas goes.
Also a wonderful day by Cole Aldridge as Hobson fires on that three, and that's going to do it. In the end, Kansas is too much for Tennessee. 92-85 is the final score. Final thoughts on a Kansas win. You like the way they grew up today?
I really did. I think Kansas did a lot of maturing today in getting this win over a very good Tennessee team.
Coming up next on ESPN, the 2009 World's Strongest Man competition. And for more on this game, tune into ESPN News for Post-Game Extra. For Jay Billis, I'm Dave O'Brien. Thanks so much for being with us as we say so long from Lawrence, Kansas. Your final again, Kansas 92, Tennessee 85.